So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. My name is Dr. Shubda Chaudhary, and this is Middle East Insights platform. Today, we are going to talk about something which is very topical. Everyone is always expecting and doing calculations on U.S. Iran relations and so many other things. So, today, we are going to talk about why Iran's foreign policy in the Middle East is important, A, and how should we understand it. So for that, we have Mohammad Khatibi with us, who is a very, very well acclaimed journalist. He keeps writing and speaking on many, even in Indian TV channels, by the way. And he's a specialist in Iranian foreign affairs. So with this, say pass and welcome to Middle East Insights platform.
Hi, thanks for having me.
The first question that I have is that every country's foreign policy is important, right? But Western media often frames Iranian foreign policy with its own bias. What do you have to say about that?
Let me start from the beginning. Since the revolution in Iran's constitution has made it possible for the government to pursue helping other countries, especially those countries who are oppressed. Iran has been active in many different conflicts because of this, because Iran and the government is based on revolutionary ideas. And because of this revolutionary idea, Iran is pursuing to help the oppressed. For example, in the Middle East, the issue of Palestine is the first priority in Iran's foreign policy, and fighting Israel is not just because of the geopolitics. It's not just because Israel is from the Western Bloc. It's because Israel is oppressing the Palestinians. And before the revolution and after the revolution, the first person who came to Iran, the first official actually who came to Iran, was Yasser Arafat. He was the PLO chief back then, and he helped Iran revolution himself. Yasser Arafat and PLO, that we know now as Mahmoud Abbas is leading PLO, and they were in very close contact with Iran. After many years, they give away their weapons, and Hamas emerged, and Iran supported Hamas in its fight with Israel. So Iran is trying to help the oppressed. This is the ideology. There is another thing that it's important. Every country wants to save and control its sovereignty and defend its national interests. So Iran is not located in Europe. Iran is located in a place that every country has an eye on its territory. It has, for example, because Iran is a rich oil-rich country, so many Western countries and even Eastern countries are looking into Iran's oil and resources. So Iran wants to preserve it for itself, and this is why that Iran is active in the Middle East. So other than this, Iran wants to help the people who are friends in this regards, that who want to fight oppression, who want to confront the West and the Western ideas. No matter who is fighting the West, Iran is willing to help those individuals, those groups, and those countries.
So, sir, if I put it in a devil's advocate manner, and I just want to tease out one foreign policy element, the question is that often those who don't understand the complexities of Middle East, they simply see it as that Iran is Shia and the Palestinian cause is Sunni, and why is Iran involved in, the so-called axis of resistance? Why is it helping Hezbollah, Houthis, and others? Why is Palestine, apart from the oppression, apart from the genocide, why is Palestine important for Iran?
It is not because of the different sects that Iran and Hamas belongs. Iran, as I said, is trying to help the Palestinians. And other than that, Iran wants to balance Israel. Israel is a entity that wants to control all of the Middle East. For example, in the cabinet, there were some elements like Ben Gavir, those who are thinking about greater Israel, those who think that from Nile to Euphrates belongs to Israel. And Iran is fighting this ideology. It's not just helping Hamas. Israel, as we are seeing in these days, Israel is attacking Lebanon on false basis. Israel is attacking Syria because it says that it fears attacks from Syria. But it's not the case. Even Bashar Assad didn't do anything about the Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. And now that HTS has taken the throne in Syria, it doesn't do anything. However, Israel is trying to expand its ideology, expand its territory for gaining control over land, gaining control over resources. And Iran, as a sovereign state, if Iran doesn't counter these expansionist idea, after 2 or 3 years, the war will become to the doors of Iran. Supporting Hezbollah and supporting Hamas and supporting all these groups other than oppression and standing with Palestine is because that Iranians don't want fighting in their doorsteps. It's some kind of forward defense. It's not ambitious. It's just defending. Iran has done nothing when Iran's actions are mostly reactionary. For example, they blame Iran for having influence in Iraq. Who did invade Iraq? Iran or the U.S.? The U.S. invaded Iraq, and Iran gained influence there. So who did do uprising in, for example, uprisings in the Middle East, the Arab Spring didn't occur because of Iran. Iran gained influence because US wanted to change governments in the Middle East. It was not just because Iran was attacking them or doing stuff. It was the US, and it was the US who invaded Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places. And now it's somehow striking Yemen and blaming it on Iran. Who did start the genocide in the Gaza Strip? Who did start?
The entire. What I would like to say is that there's also this entire notion that Shia and Sunni divide, the sectarian divide. I think it's very superficial, Western implanted.
No, even the leader of Iran is not okay with division, because Iran, there are minority Sunnis in Iran, in Kurdistan and Balochistan. There are near Iraq and near Pakistan. There are Sunni minorities in Iran, and Iran is dealing with them perfect. There is no difference in government's view of a Sunni Baloch is Iranian and a Kurd is Iranian, just like and I am a Turk, that I am an Iranian and I am Shia. There is no difference between Shias and Sunnis in Iran. And it's just the case in other places. Iran treats all of its citizens as equals. It's the same in like the Sunnis. I mean, the government, the leadership doesn't want division, and it's some kind of myth that Iran is trying to put the flames of sectarian divide in the Middle East. Iran is working with a group that it's Sunni, Hamas. Iran is working with a group that it's again Sunni, Islamic Jihad. Iran is trying to defend itself when it wants to help Hamas or other groups.
When we talk about leadership, sir, so for example, who will be the next leader after Ayatollah Khamenei religiously?
there is for example, when Ayatollah Khamenei became the leader, there was a council, and the council elected him as the leader. And there is also a council that is chosen by the people, and it's called Majlis Khobragan. In English, they say the experts council. There are experts in scholars, religious scholars, and they are elected as the people elect them, and they will elect the next leader. And it's kind of, they accuse Iran of dictatorship, but it's not like that, because they don't know how the process is. They think that it's dictatorship. The role of expert council is like just electing. These are elite scholars, religious scholars, who are elected by the people and will elect the next leader, and they are also observing the doings and what the leader is doing now. They are capable of changing the leader. In the constitution, when the leader is ill, when the leader is not capable of doing his job, when the leader is leading the country to nowhere, they can interfere and they can change the leader. But it's not like the Western claims that Iran is a theocracy. It's not theocracy. People elect officials, experts, and those experts elect the leader. It's that kind of it's let me say it in this way. It's just like other countries who elect officials, but the difference is the leader of Iran is not directly involved in all politics. For example, the president in Iran has a great role, and when the president changes, the foreign policy changes. It's not like that there is a one person who calls the shots. Iran is not like that. Iran is not like regional countries that have kings. There is so many powerful people constitutionally that have a say in Iran's foreign policy and have a say in Iran's domestic policies.
Yeah, though I like the idea of democracy also is the dictatorship of the majority. And there's another thing which I do believe in is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But the next question, sir, is that how does there was a news, I don't know if it is true or false, that Elon Musk met the Iranian ambassador to United Nations, and I don't know how long Elon Musk is going to continue with his dot job, but there was this entire idea that the Trump administration is going to have negotiations with Iran. Then I think it was UAE or Oman through which President Trump gave a letter to Ayatollah Khamenei, and it was said that no direct negotiations as such will take place. Then the bombardment of Houthis started in the Red Sea. But the way USS Truman and the kind of artillery and tanks that are being positioned, it doesn't seem as if it is only for the Houthis. And even one of the senators, Cotton, I think, he said that, putting this kind of pressure on Iran works for us. Think about the assassination of Soleimani. Think about how we were able to avert a lot of other so-called terrorist attacks. There are news that, the assassination attempts on Trump is because of Iran, and there are so many Iranian bots on social media. So what in simple terms, I want to ask is that how does Iran perceive United States under Trump? Under Trump. I'm being very categorical.
Iranians think there is no policy change when the government in the United States changes, because no matter what, they are pursuing to control and contain Iran. and they think that Iran is not a good player and it should be it should be contained. So the administration doesn't differ, but what differs in Iranian point of view is that their approaches differ. For example, Biden and the Democrats want to gather coalitions and gather other people to sanction Iran and force Iran by sanctions and force Iran by coalitions to the negotiating table. On the other hand, the Trump administration and Republicans want Iran by coercing it, by threatening bombing Iran and moving military assets to the region. They want Iran to be fearful, and come to the negotiating table. The approaches are different, but the ideology is the same. They want Iran to be contained. So there is a point here. Trump is just somehow is trying to coerce Iran. It's some kind of coercive diplomacy to push Iran to the corner and help it to come to the negotiating table. I think these bringing military assets to the region is not because of the Yemen, it's because of Iran, actually, and we all know it. But the point is, this may backfire. Iran is nothing like Yemen. When a missile is launched, when the Qasem Soleimani was assassinated, Iran fired missiles to Ain al-Assad. This can happen again, but in a very major level. For example, there are many U.S. bases in the region, and there are many troops actually there. If Israel or the United States supports Israel's attack on Iran, or United States attacks Iran directly, these troops will be targeted. Not just the bases, I mean. There are countries that are hosting US bases, and Iran will consider those countries as hostile nations. When this happens, the escalation will be very, very different. And so the Trump policy will escalate the situation further, and Iran knows this. Iran, you said that you mentioned Elon Musk. Iran has never left the negotiating table. It was the U.S. who withdrew in Trump's first term. Trump withdrew from the JCPOA and started the maximum policy pressure policy, maximum policy pressure policy.
It's okay. Even he doesn't understand it. But the point is that I just don't understand from the point of ignorance that Israel is allowed to be it has nuclear opacity.
Yeah.
And if Iran is trying to work on its nuclear weapon, it is, oh my God. So I just don't understand this hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's just like that, because Israel is in the Western Bloc and Israel is so-called democracy, but it is not. They are helping it in all means. They are providing weapons to kill Palestinians. They are doing everything and making Israel capable to attack other countries. Iran has not had even once pursued nuclear weapon. There is a fatwa. I don't know, you know the meaning of fatwa. There is a ruling, Islamic ruling by the leader of Iran that makes making nuclear weapons and other kinds of mass destruction arms haram, and it's forbidden. It's not just that Iran is not pursuing nuclear weapons because of the threats from US or other countries. It's because the leadership thinks that the nuclear weapon is haram. But there is a simple, there is a complex situation here. Fatwas are different from ahkam. It's some kind of scholarly fiqh. When ahkam is based on Quran, and these can't be changed. But fatwa is something that can change by time. If the situation changes, the leader, the person that issued it, can change it by time. For example, the situation changes, and maybe there is a growing call in Iran on the leader to change his fatwa and rethink his fatwa and change the nuclear policy. And they are asking him to pursue and give the green light to make nuclear weapons. Yet there is no indication of that. But if I think if there is an attack on Iran, there will be no other choice for Iran to defend itself than making nuclear bombs. And we are hearing from different Iranian officials that if Iran is going to be attacked, there will be a nuclear bomb afterwards.
So, one thing which I don't understand, this is also a fascination with the Indian media. That is US going to attack Iran? Is Israel going to attack Iran? And now the attack on the nuclear facility can be contained. It cannot be. It's the technology has developed as if it's something to be proud of. But anyway, the technology has developed in such a way that it won't be another Hiroshima or Nagasaki. We can, at the same time, from 2011, I have been reading that Israel is trying to, and even before that, it is trying to target and state that, look here, under this mountain, there is the Iranian nuclear plant. Look under here, this is what the International Atomic Energy Agency is not allowed to go. So again, when this kind of rumor mongering happens, that, US is going to attack, Israel is going to attack, doomsday is here, now the Messiah will come, God knows whatever. How is the, what is the, because we don't know, what is the condition, what is the atmosphere within Iran?
Mm-hmm. The atmosphere has changed. Back then, when Trump withdrew from the deal, there was no Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. Bashar Assad was in place. Hezbollah was capable to carry out massive attacks on Israel, and their equation was in favor of Iran. But now the equation is different. Back then, Iran's leader said there will be no negotiations and there will be no war. But this time, after Trump's letter, he is, I think, in my point of view, he is ready for a war. But even now, he will not give in to negotiations under pressure. But Iranians are thinking about a war, but there it will be not an easy war, because we are being threatened from 40 or 50 years ago. When the revolution in Iran happened, US has been threatening Iran, and other countries also threatening Iran to attack it. But we are constantly under threat by foreigners to be attacked, to get attacked, but nothing has changed. But we are in this point of time, we are all ready for a war. But it will be not easy, not just for Iran. It will be not easy for regional countries. The price of war will be high for the United States, and no other major power wants war in the Middle East. China is getting lots of oil from the Middle East. India gets lots of oil from the Middle East, and other countries also, Europeans. They all want Middle Eastern oil. If that happens, if US and Israel attack Iran, there will be no oil from the Middle East. Iran can control these waters, as what happened during Iran and Iraq war. The price of oil when Iran started to attack oil tankers skyrocketed. This can happen again. This will not be an easy war, a surgical war that Trump means. If the US attacks Iranian nuclear sites, there will be bombings in all of the Middle East. It's not just Israel. there will be bombings wherever the missile came from. Iran will bomb there. It's some kind of, maybe I think it will be a World War III,
I
because
think it
this
will
no one
be
wants.
a Black Mirror episode. And after
Yeah,
that, when we finish watching it, we are all like dead. So,
yeah.
it's like this. And the one thing which I really don't understand is but this how is Iran able to invest so much, as you're saying that there will be reaction, but since 1979 there has been so many sanctions against Iran. The economy is
Hmm.
suffering. And this
Yeah.
amount of investment on a war. Now, Israel can do away with, okay, 60 billion investments 6 months ago in the genocide. Okay, we will get more money, Habibi. But the point is, how will Iran figure it out?
Mhm. So there is pressure on Iran, and the economy is suffering, but it's not like what Westerners say. Iran is some kind, it's the West sanctioned Russia. What happened? They say that Russia could not continue for 2 months after Europe, US, all of them sanctioned Russia. But what happened? Nothing. Russia's economy didn't just move a little bit. What happened? Nothing. Iran is doing the same, and it's not just because they are selling oil to China. Iran has found new ways to fight sanctions, and it is capable. So there are economic hardships, but this is not at the level that people will rise against the government.
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind sanctioning Iran is to make people suffer from the sanctions and hard living conditions and make them rise against the government. But this will not happen because the economy is doing okay, and Iranians can cope with hardships well.
And you know what's the most interesting thing is what I keep telling, and I keep telling is that Iran wants whatever we know about Iran is what Iran wants you to know about it. If it's good or bad,
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I was just comparing about the investment, the military investment of Houthis versus that of NATO. So, for example, as of now, there are total military person. There are more than 342,000 Houthis in the military, so-called state within a state. In NATO, there is more than 5 lakhs. Houthi has no
Mm.
tanks, no armored vehicles, no navy, no aircraft carrier, while NATO has 12,000 tanks, more than that, armored vehicles, more than 10 lakhs, total navy, more than 2,000, aircraft carriers, more than 16. So, what I really see is a very asymmetrical conflict, and I don't understand why, because on one hand, Trump keeps saying, drill, baby, drill, and he wants his own
Mm.
oil to, like be the best oil in the world. And I don't know why then he's
Yeah.
buying Tesla from Elon Musk. But again, the point is that do you think that the capacity of Houthis and their military strength, because Houthis have their own struggle, there is a difference between the Yemeni state and the Houthis. Um, do you think
There
that
is no difference, actually. There
why
is
do you
no
say
difference.
so?
We, there is no difference because Houthis are Yemen now. There is no difference between the Yemeni state. We Iranians actually think that there is no difference. This is kind of some Westerners who say that Houthis are now controlling the majority of the country, and the majority of the population backs,
Yeah.
yeah, backs Houthis are not separate from the Yemen. They are not injected into Yemen from elsewhere. They were there, and they are now controlling the country.
No, no, no.
And Saudi Arabia,
Yeah, yeah. Saudi Arabia has been,
Saudi Arabia wanted to help opposition, and
yeah,
wanted to help other groups to gain the control, but it failed. And yeah, continue. I was just trying to say that there is no difference between Yemeni state and Houthis.
Well, we will go and interview a few Yemenis, but the point is that I do agree with the southern part of, like, just below Taif and other the southern part of Saudi Arabia is just so beautiful.
Uh,
And because
yeah,
of so much of, since the Arab uprisings and even before the dislodging of the government and the attacks and all of that, it's not suitable, it's not safe as such, creating a certain kind of insecurity within the country. And the second thing is, there is this, when one talks about Hezbollah and Lebanon, when one talks about so one thing which very interesting I came to know about Hezbollah and, yeah, Lebanon was that, okay, people say that Hezbollah is the state within the state. Democratically, it has injected itself into the Lebanese government. Who pays for the army and the not civil society, or the uh, democratic institutions in Lebanon? Who pays for it? It's U.S. Half of the salary.
yeah.
I don't know if Trump knows about it. He's going to freeze it.
Yeah, because they are trying to pressure Lebanon to do that, and they are pressuring to cut spendings there, and they want to get Hezbollah's arms, but I think it can't happen because Shias were oppressed in
Yeah,
Lebanon before Hezbollah became powerful,
yeah,
and now, even now that Hezbollah is facing rockets, bombs, and everyday Lebanese are being targeted, there is no change in Hezbollah backing in Lebanon. Maybe some are angry about Hezbollah to initiating a war on Israel, but even now they think that Hezbollah is their only option. Shias, I mean, Shias think that there is no other choice for them. If Hezbollah is gone, their power will be gone. There will be
yeah,
no saying because Christians and other groups they will swallow all Shias, and it will become the oppression, just like what Israel is doing in West Bank. It will be something like that. This southern Lebanon could, if Hezbollah is gone, there will be no one defending them from Israel. There will be no one defending them from the government itself
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah,
Hezbollah is gone. And they all know it. They all
yeah.
know it.
No, I mean, like, but even for the sake of Assad, the Shia are not Druze. That Israel will say, "Come, come, we'll come and protect you. You are in Suweda. We will,
Mm.
just protect you, protect you, protect you. We'll give you ranks in the army." So, but they are going to do that. But the interesting thing, what Israel does is that when the constant, I cannot say if the ceasefire is the right term between Israel and Hezbollah, because it doesn't seem that any fire is ceasing. But what they used to do, and they did very smartly, was whatever weapons they got from Hezbollah, they upgraded it and sold it to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And this was like, wow. I mean, wow, you are upgrading the Soviet era machinery and artillery and all of that. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of even Arab countries are getting tacitly involved with you. You means Israel, not Iran. But the point is, the second is that then you are also getting weapons that from Hezbollah, and then you're selling it off and making money out of it.
Hmm.
That is something which is very interesting. But I will now go to the question of Anurag. Anurag is asking that what was the Iranian viewpoint on the Arab uprising? I don't use the word spring because, the Arab world doesn't have spring, summer, winter, autumn, and it is a very Western way of classifying. So, what was the Iranian perspective on the Arab uprisings?
We in Iran don't call it uprising, also. We
Oh,
call it
wow.
Islamic awakening. They call it,
Yeah.
the leader,
Yeah.
Islamic awakening. And it was a good thing that people in the countries did with their governments, but Westerners and people with power corrupted that. And this is because the powerful elements in each country gained control and they corrupted the revolution. Iran was saying Iran is a revolutionary country, and when a revolution happens, like what did in Egypt happened, Iran was backing Morsi when even he was Sunni. He came to Iran. He then went to Saudi Arabia, and when he went to Saudi Arabia, everything changed, and Sisi came in power, and so many other things happened. Iran views this as an Islamic awakening. Iran backs fighting these kingdoms, I think, fighting corruption. But Iran is not have territorial ambitions in Arab countries. This is not what the Western media is trying to suggest. Iran will not help those people. Iran wants the people themselves to rise against their own governments. For example, Saudi Arabia was accusing Iran of helping Shias in oil-rich parts of Saudi Arabia to rise against Saudi Arabia. But Iran wasn't doing anything. Bahrain did the same and accused Iran of helping Shias there. But this was not the case. Iran was just sitting idly, and the people themselves were trying to fight their corrupt governments. So Iran is...
we should not talk about Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, because then we'll have to call the Chinese to mediate again between Iran and Saudi Arabia. They're like, let's see what you're doing. So the point is, what I'm trying to say is that now one thing which is really actually, I think India should have done it, the peace negotiations between, or the diplomatic engagement between Saudi Arabia and Iran, because India has a much more historic...
With all due respect, Indians do whatever the United States say. There is no other option for the Indian government other than the U.S. saying. When with all due respect, for example, there is a port in Iran. There is a port in Iran, Chabahar port. And there is a Gwadar port in Pakistan. Chinese have made it really beautiful, but they did nothing in Chabahar. They are just, we all expected Indians to do more, but they didn't do anything because the US is preventing them from doing that. China continued to buy Iranian oil, but Indians, with blink of eye, they found new oil providers.
You're completely right. You are completely right. I agree with this viewpoint. This is completely right. The only thing, what the Indian media is doing, writing about Chabahar. Where is it? Why is it? What is happening? What is not happening in Saudi Arabia? For God's sake, you have even the road signs in Chinese. That is the level of, the diplomatic engagement or the economic engagement. And I was like, really? But we are going to have some kind of pitfall because Trump has put reciprocal tariffs on us, which is 26%. Yeah. So now we are focusing more on BIMSTEC and Quad and not Quad, on BRICS. And we have learned the lesson. But again, the problem is...
I don't think you have learned the lesson.
No.
I don't think so.
It is a long process. Even like our foreign minister, Jaishankar, actually went and said at the Rasina Hills dialogue openly that... when US is allowed, I'm paraphrasing, that it's allowed to invade countries and all, and I was like, okay. So the point is that it is also about the deep state and the intelligence network and the pressure of it. Mm-hmm. And India has been a victim. I would use the word victim. I would not use the word survivor since the Cold War time of intelligence. So that, I think, puts a lot of pressure on what the diplomats can do.
To Pakistan, I think.
Sorry?
The same goes to the same goes to Pakistan. Pakistan has this issue also, I think.
Yeah.
Some
It's
kind.
yeah, South Asia has been the hotbed of intelligence gathering, and but different kinds of when you go to any kind of function here, which is diplomatic, and I'm being very honest, most of the time I'm like, who can be from an intelligence here? Maybe the waiter, even. You
Yeah.
never know. So that is the level of the presence. And before any kind of diplomatic visit takes place, the intelligence pressure is too much.
Yeah.
And what I often say about Iran and India relationship, that it's not only about, it's not about Mughal times. It's not about, it goes back from the spice route, like
Yeah.
BC, before the birth of Christ.
Yeah.
So the point here is that, but again, the repercussion of what I mean, there has to be some kind of stand that India should take. But at the same time, India is cautiously following this dehyphenated foreign policy, so that it can talk with
Mhm.
Iran, it can talk also with Israel, it can talk with Ukraine, it can also talk with Russia, it can talk with everyone.
China is doing the same, but it didn't abandon Iran when Trump put pressure on Iran.
China is
China is doing
abandoning
the same.
Trump. We cannot abandon
China,
Trump. That is a problem.
no, China is not abandoning Trump. China is dealing with the U.S. and it's. I think the first their economic relationship is much have become. How can I say? It is really good. The relationship is really good, and Chinese are now are not really angry about this situation because they are dealing with Trump and that they want the relationship to continue. They are not opening a new war. They are just reminding Trump that we have capabilities and we can do fight you. This is not like starting a fight. This is a sign, not a real fight, I think.
They can. Most of the Chinese will they'll crash the stock market, and then they have given it back in a certain way to US technology by creating DeepSeek. The
Mm-hmm.
algorithm, AI algorithm that look here, but so the point is that the competition will continue, but China will, because it sells. Iran and China, they
Yeah.
sell in the American media. So that is one thing that they love talking about, and they get votes out of it. But in reality,
Yeah.
it's not very, what do you say? It does not configure to reality. Now, Shrishti is asking that will Saudi Arabia, do you think, recognize Israel and develop diplomatic relations? And if that happens, then how Habibi Iran is going to react?
Uh, I think Saudi Arabia will eventually recognize Israel. It was doing it before the genocide in Gaza happened. There were talks, and now the main issue that Saudi Arabia is considering is the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. If this happens and it moves smoothly, the government in Saudi Arabia will eventually recognize Israel because the government don't care about what people think. For example, the majority of Saudi Arabians are against Ben Salman's policies
No,
in
but
some specific areas.
yeah, but
Some
he has
specific
worked.
areas.
Yeah, but
He is.
that
He
is
has. Yeah.
no, but he
He
has
has
worked
arrested so
in
many people, and
half of
he
his
has
own
arrested so
family.
many people. Yeah, they
But
have
that
done. They
arrest
have done
is
this.
very elite arrest, they put them in five-star hotels. So
Yeah,
I would like to be
yeah,
arrested like that, like, okay, fine, this is your cage, stay here. But I'm just joking, I don't want to be. But the point is that
yeah,
he has, what one thing which I'll give credit to him is the fact that he opened the labor force for women.
yeah. It's
That
it's
is
okay, but I think But even now, the culture, the people themselves are not opening the space for the women. The government is forcing that to the households. It's not from bottom to up. It's up to bottom. Yani, you know, I mean that the government is forcing people to do what this happened in Iran also when Reza Shah was in power, the Pahlavi dynasty. He tried to forcefully get people's hijab and women's hijab, and he failed. He failed to push Iran to a more modern society because people were resisting it. And this is also happening in Saudi Arabia. Westerners are just showing a small minority of Saudi Arabia. The majority are not with Ben Salman in, for example, the situation with the women. They have, so many of them have 4 wives. They have they don't
now, if I will talk about wives, then I can ask you also now, seriously, how many wives are allowed in Islam?
4, but there is a very, very important issue here. You should be equals in every sense to all of them. But
it is better to go into a mental asylum than to be equal with 4 wives. It's easier to survive there.
But it's not the case in Iran. No one in Iran. It's not in the case in Iran. The Persians and the Iranians are against having lots of wives.
Yeah. And the like wives should also have the freedom to have lots of husbands, you know. That should be equal. Equity should be there. That have 100 husbands, I have 100 wives, no problem. But thank you so much. This was a really enjoyable discussion.
It was enjoyable for me also.
Yes, it was really, enjoyable because we need to crack down the tension. And there's so much of pain, suffering, and loss, alienation in the world all around us that it doesn't make sense to carry on the weight. The best revenge or the best solution sometimes is laughter. When the whole world is trying to put you down in the sense, and I don't mean me, I mean what is happening in Gaza. I mean what is going to happen, and the media will come to know, and the world will try to talk about it in West Bank. I mean what is happening with the innocent civil society and citizens of Israel itself. With so much of bloodshed, suffering, agony, and pain, I think the best thing one can do is to take the day back and laugh.
Yeah.
So others can disagree with me, but the weight of the trauma is too much. I mean, people go, and especially academics. So it happens. So with this, thank you so much, sir. Sepas, for your time. And please